When you stop being available for everyone, everything in your life begins to shift, not because you became rude, arrogant, or heartless, but because you finally chose yourself. For too long, you answered every call, replied to every message, fixed every problem, and showed up even when it cost you your peace. You thought being available meant being kind. You thought saying yes meant being valuable. But the truth is, constant availability doesn't earn respect. It invites entitlement. The moment you step back, people notice. The moment you stop chasing, the noise changes. The moment you stop explaining yourself, your presence gains weight. Suddenly, your time matters, your words matter, you matter. When you stop being available, you learn who truly values you and who only valued your convenience. Some people will leave, and that's not a loss, that's freedom. Because anyone who only loves you when you are useful never loved you for who you are. This shift is uncomfortable. You'll feel guilty at first. You'll question yourself. But growth always feels uncomfortable before it feels powerful. And soon, you'll realize something important. You are calmer, stronger, and more focused. You stop reacting and start choosing. Stopping availability is not about ignoring people. It's about honoring your energy. It's about protecting your peace. It's about understanding that your life is not an open door, it's a priority. When you stop being available for everything, you finally become available for your purpose, your growth, and your future. And that's when everything truly changes, when you are always available, always answering calls, replying instantly, and putting everyone else's needs before your own. Your time starts to feel unlimited to others. And when something appears unlimited, it slowly loses its value. People begin to assume you will always be there, no matter what, so they stop appreciating the effort it takes from you. Constant availability silently teaches others that your time is less important than theirs. Without realizing it, you train people to interrupt your schedule, cross your boundaries, and expect immediate access to you. Over time, this creates imbalance. You give more while others give less. You show up while others only appear when it's convenient for them. This doesn't happen because people are intentionally disrespectful. It happens because human psychology responds to scarcity. What is easily accessible is often overlooked. What requires effort is respected. When you are always present, people stop noticing your presence. Being constantly available also drains your mental and emotional energy. You begin to feel exhausted, unappreciated, and sometimes even invisible. You may start questioning your worth, wondering why your kindness is not returned. But the issue isn't your kindness, it's the lack of limits. When you start valuing your own time, you send a silent but powerful message. Your life matters. Your goals matter. Your peace matters. Limiting access doesn't make you selfish. It makes you intentional. And when your availability becomes selective, your presence gains meaning, your time gains respect, and your value becomes undeniable. Boundaries are not walls meant to shut people out. They are guidelines that teach others how to treat you. When you don't set boundaries, people often assume unlimited access to your time, energy, and emotions. This isn't always done with bad intentions. It happens because, without clear limits, others follow what feels convenient for them. When you start setting boundaries, something interesting happens. People begin to pause before making demands. They become more mindful of your time. They listen more carefully to your words. Boundaries create structure in relationships, and structure naturally leads to respect. Many people fear boundaries because they worry about disappointing others or being seen as difficult, but the reality is that boundaries reveal character. Those who respect you will adjust. Those who benefited from your silence may resist. This reaction is not a sign that boundaries are wrong. It's proof that they are necessary. Without boundaries, resentment builds quietly. You may agree outwardly while feeling frustrated inside. Over time, this internal conflict damages your confidence and your relationships. Boundaries prevent this by creating honesty. They allow you to show up fully without feeling drained or used. Setting boundaries also strengthens your self-image. Every time you protect your time or say no without guilt, you reinforce the belief that your needs are valid. You begin to act from self-respect instead of obligation, and when people see that you respect yourself, they are far more likely to respect you as well. Saying no is one of the most misunderstood actions in personal growth. Many people associate it with rejection, selfishness, or conflict, but in reality, saying no is an honest response to your limits. Every time you say yes to something that drains you, you are quietly saying no to your own time, energy, and priorities. When you avoid saying no, it's often because you fear disappointing others or being judged. You may worry that people will think less of you, withdraw from you, or stop needing you. But constantly agreeing out of fear slowly erodes your self-respect. You begin to feel controlled by expectations rather than guided by purpose. Learning to say no reconnects you with your values. It forces you to ask important questions. Do I truly want this? Does this align with my goals? Do I have the energy for this right now? These questions shift your decisions from emotional pressure to conscious choice. Saying no also teaches people how to interact with you. It establishes that your time is not automatically available and your energy is not unlimited. Over time, others begin to approach you with more consideration because they know your yes is intentional, not automatic. Most importantly, saying no builds inner strength. Each time you honor your limits, you reinforce the belief that your needs matter. You stop sacrificing your well-being for temporary approval and start acting from a place of dignity, clarity, and self-respect. Distance has a way of exposing the truth that constant closeness often hides. When you are always present, always available, and always giving, relationships can feel stable on the surface, but you never truly know why people stay. The moment you create space, the real intentions begin to show. When you step back, some people will check on you, respect your space, and remain connected without demanding constant access. Others may disappear, lose interest, or only reach out when they need something. This difference is not coincidence, it's clarity. Distance removes the comfort of convenience and reveals who values you beyond what you provide. True relationships do not depend on constant availability. They survive pauses, silence, and personal growth. They are built on mutual respect, understanding, and genuine care. When distance is introduced, these connections remain steady because they are rooted in appreciation, not dependency. Creating distance also allows you to observe relationships more objectively. Without emotional pressure, you begin to see patterns clearly: who listens, who respects your boundaries, and who only shows up when it benefits them. This awareness is empowering because it replaces confusion with understanding. Distance is not about pushing people away. It's about giving yourself space to see who truly stands with you. In that space, relationships either deepen naturally or fade honestly. Leaving behind clarity instead of doubt. Living for approval slowly turns your life into a performance. Your choices, words, and actions begin to revolve around how others will react rather than what truly feels right to you. When you are constantly available, approval becomes the silent reward. You feel needed, accepted, and validated. Over time, this dependence grows without you realizing it. When you stop being available all the time, that external validation starts to fade. At first, this can feel uncomfortable, even unsettling. You may notice fewer messages, less attention, or reduced praise. But in that quiet space, something important begins to happen. You start hearing your own voice again. Stepping away from approval allows you to make decisions with clarity instead of fear. You stop asking, "Will they like this?" and start asking, is this right for me? This shift changes how you approach work, relationships, and personal goals. Your actions become aligned with values rather than expectations. Living without constant approval also builds emotional independence. You no longer feel controlled by other people's moods, opinions, or reactions. Praise no longer defines you, and criticism no longer destroys you. You become steady, grounded, and internally guided. As approval loses its power over you, authenticity takes its place. You show up as yourself, not the version that pleases everyone. And in doing so, you regain control over your life, your choices, and your sense of self-emotional strength begins to grow the moment you stop allowing everything and everyone to have access to you. When you are constantly available, you are also constantly exposed to opinions, demands, problems, and emotional reactions that are not yours to carry. This exposure keeps your emotions in a reactive state, where you respond before you reflect. As you limit availability, you create emotional space. In that space, you stop reacting immediately and start responding intentionally. You no longer feel pressured to fix every situation or absorb every emotion around you. This shift gives you control over how you feel instead of letting circumstances control you. With reduced emotional overload, your mind becomes clearer. You think more rationally, stay calmer under pressure, and handle challenges with balance rather than impulsiveness. Situations that once triggered anxiety, anger, or frustration begin to lose their power over you. Emotional strength also means accepting discomfort without collapsing. When you stop being available, you may face misunderstanding or silence from others. Instead of panicking or chasing reassurance, you learn to sit with uncertainty. This ability builds resilience and inner stability. Over time, you become less dependent on emotional reactions from others. You no longer need constant reassurance, attention, or validation to feel secure. Your confidence becomes internal, your emotions become steady, and your strength comes from within rather than from external control. Guilt often appears the moment you begin to change old patterns. When you stop being available, say no, or prioritize yourself, guilt shows up as an internal voice questioning your decisions. This guilt is not a sign that you are doing something wrong. It is a sign that you are breaking habits that once kept others comfortable. For a long time, your identity may have been tied to being helpful, reliable, and always present. When you step away from that role, your mind reacts because it is unfamiliar territory. You may feel responsible for other people's emotions or outcomes, even when they are not yours to manage. This guilt is deeply connected to conditioning. Many people are taught that self-sacrifice equals goodness and that prioritizing yourself is selfish. Growth challenges this belief. It asks you to recognize that caring for yourself is not neglecting others. It is creating balance. As you continue setting boundaries, the guilt begins to weaken. Each time you choose your well-being despite discomfort, you teach yourself that your needs are valid. You learn that discomfort does not mean danger and that disapproval does not mean failure. Guilt during growth is temporary, but self-respect is lasting. When you move through guilt instead of running from it, you develop emotional maturity and a stronger sense of identity that is no longer shaped by obligation or fear. When you stop being available to everything and everyone, your time shifts from being reactive to being intentional. Instead of your schedule being shaped by interruptions, requests, and other people's priorities, it begins to reflect what truly matters to you. This change doesn't happen instantly, but it becomes clear the moment you start choosing how your time is spent. Previously, much of your day may have been filled with obligations you didn't fully choose, unplanned conversations, last-minute favors, and emotional labor that left you drained. Once availability is limited, those distractions reduce. You gain space to plan, focus, and direct your energy with purpose. Intentional time creates deeper engagement. Whether it's work, learning, health, or relationships, you show up fully instead of halfway. You stop rushing and start being present. This focus increases the quality of your efforts and strengthens your sense of control over your life. Being intentional with time also improves decision making. You become more selective, evaluating whether something deserves your attention before committing. This prevents burnout and helps you align daily actions with long-term goals. As your time becomes intentional, your life feels less chaotic and more meaningful. You move from constantly reacting to consciously choosing, allowing your energy to be invested where it truly counts. Silence is one of the most powerful tools for building confidence, yet it is often misunderstood. When you stop being constantly available, you naturally begin speaking less, explaining less, and reacting less. At first, this silence may feel uncomfortable, like people will misinterpret you or think you are distant. But over time, silence becomes a source of strength. When you are no longer compelled to justify yourself or overcommunicate, your presence starts to speak louder than words. People begin to notice the weight of your decisions, the intentionality behind your actions, and the calm authority you exude. You stop seeking validation through constant explanations, and your confidence becomes intrinsic rather than dependent on others' approval. Silence also allows you to observe without distraction. You can see motives clearly, understand dynamics better, and respond with thoughtfulness instead of impulsivity. This reflective power strengthens your judgment and reinforces your sense of self-assurance. Furthermore, silence reduces vulnerability to manipulation and unnecessary criticism. When you do not overshare, people cannot exploit your emotions or use your words against you. This protective quality builds inner security, and as a result, you carry yourself with poise and authority. As confidence grows in silence, you realize that your value is not in how much you talk, explain, or give. It is in who you are, how you hold yourself, and the energy you bring into every space. Silence in this way is not emptiness. It is presence, power, and self-respect manifested. When you stop being available for everyone else, you begin to reclaim the most important relationship in your life, the one with yourself. For years, many people live in a pattern of prioritizing others' needs, expectations, and desires above their own. You may have believed that your worth depended on your usefulness, or that putting yourself first was selfish. But the moment you step back, a new reality begins to emerge. Your life, your growth, and your well-being deserve first attention. Making yourself a priority doesn't mean abandoning responsibilities or ignoring others. It means recognizing that your energy, time, and happiness are finite resources that must be protected. By choosing yourself first, you ensure that your actions, decisions, and relationships are aligned with your values rather than dictated by habit, guilt, or external pressure. This shift creates freedom. You start to dedicate time to your passions, your goals, and your health without feeling apologetic. You notice how much clearer your decisions become when they are guided by self-priority rather than obligation. Your focus sharpens because you are no longer scattered across endless demands that do not serve your purpose. Becoming your own priority also transforms how others perceive you. When people see that you value yourself, they begin to value you as well. Your boundaries are respected, your time is honored, and your presence carries weight. Instead of being taken for granted, you become someone whose choices and presence are meaningful. Most importantly, prioritizing yourself creates balance and fulfillment. You no longer live in constant reaction to others' needs. Instead, You live intentionally, purposefully, and with a sense of ownership over your life. By putting yourself first, you gain the clarity, energy, and confidence to shape the life you truly desire. The moment you stop being available for everyone else, you begin to show up fully for yourself. You reclaim your time, your energy, and your peace. You start living intentionally, setting boundaries, and valuing your worth. Life doesn't become easier overnight, but it becomes clearer, more focused, and aligned with your purpose. Remember, choosing yourself is not selfish, it's necessary. When you put yourself first, everything else falls into place naturally. People respect you more, relationships improve, and your confidence grows. Your life changes not because of what you do for others, but because of how fully you choose to live for yourself. This is the power of stepping back, creating space, and honoring your own life. When you stop being available for everything, you become available for what truly matters.